everybody. How are you? Excuse my appearance. I just had to jump on here real quick. I don't normally do this, but God has been moving me in my spirit to um, make a channel, bringing awareness to domestic violence and the mental damage that is caused by domestic violence in relation to psychological and what comes after going through these traumatic experiences. Um, I myself am a survivor of domestic violence. Not once, not twice, but many, many times. Many, many domestic violence relationships and situations. And so I feel like God has been moving me to bring awareness to this because I know without a shadow of a doubt, just from me going around and talking to different women about it, about my own situation, that there are a lot of women that have experienced these same kind of situations, and some not so fortunate to still be here with us. So if you are watching this video, then God saw fit to bring you through that situation because there are a lot of women that weren't so fortunate. I felt moved before the close of this year to tell my own story. Not all of my story because this video is not long enough for me to tell my whole story, believe me. So I want to create this channel so that I can gradually share my stories as well as allow you to share your own. I think that together we can bring awareness to this. And not only can we educate other women that are going through these things, but we can help women to recognize the signs to avoid going through these things. Just to say a little bit about myself, my name is Bunny. I am 48 years old, or should I say 48 years young, and I am an overcomer of a domestic violence situation. Just here not too long ago, just recently, I've had to up and completely relocate, and God is working on me, changing my life, changing my mind frame, changing me, changing the things in me that were causing me to go through these kind of situations over and over again. Because let's be clear that when you go through these situations repeatedly, that's a you thing. That's a you thing to where you have to stop and you have to ask yourself, what is it in me that continues to draw in this energy? What is it that I'm looking for that's relative in these people that keep me in these kind of situations? So I am in that process. I'm in the process of learning myself, learning me. But I can tell you that you can get through this. You should definitely remove yourself from any kind of toxic situation and any kind of situation that is becoming violent. That goes for men or women, because this is not just a situation that only happens to women. There are also men that get abused too. Believe it or not, yes, there are men who are also being domestically abused. So any situation that you're in where you're finding that it's become physical, it's a toxic situation, you need to remove yourself. In my case, it was something that needed to be planned. I had to plan me getting out of that situation. And I did by the grace of God. So my hopes in creating this channel is to help you to mentally get into the place that you need to be in, emotionally, spiritually, because all of this ties in together. This all ties in together. In my particular situation, my very spirit was being attacked. Not only was I being attacked physically, but spiritually I was being attacked. And I don't know, y'all can comment and let me know, was your attack spiritual? Have you experienced a spiritual attack? I mean, literally, where your very spirit is being attacked, because that's a whole different thing. So I do want you to comment. I want you to let me know, where perhaps where you're from, what was your experience, and let's dig into this thing. Let's bring some awareness to this thing. Let's see if we can help, what we can do to support one another, what we can do to help one another. Let's show ourselves and others that there is life after this. You are scarred on the outside, you are scarred on the inside, but there is healing for both. There's healing for both. You just have to want it. You have to want it. Don't suffer in silence. I did that for a long time. Don't suffer in silence. Your healing comes from expressing yourself. My healing is coming from me telling my story to you. My healing is coming from that. Don't suffer in silence, because that could mean life or death for you. Not just physical death, death of your spirit, death of your mind. It traps you in so many, 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 many ways. Many ways. It's kind of one of those situations where people may ask the question, if you're in a situation like that, why would you stay? But for those of us who have been in situations like that, we understand the psychological game that's played. That we understand the manipulation that's tied into that. We understand. So by me making this channel, that is me healing, one, and attempting to help you to heal, two, and bringing awareness and educating people who don't understand the mind frame of a person who's experienced these kind of situations, or a person who may be in this situation. So you might be a person who knows somebody who's going through these things, and you might want to get an understanding of how they thinking and how they feeling, so you can better handle them and the characteristics and behaviors that they have. Or you might be a person who's in that situation, and you may think that it's something wrong with you and the way that you're thinking and the way that you feel. You know, it can cover a lot of territory. And that's what I'm hoping that I can touch upon in making this channel. So I hope that you support this channel. I hope that you join, that you subscribe to my channel. And I'm hoping that I'll hear from you and that you'll share your story to help others to overcome these situations. The abuse that I suffered for many years, but the most recent situation I suffered was for 8 years. 8 years, and I would definitely say 7 out of 8 of those years were physically abusive. And I stayed, and I even would ask myself the question why I stayed at times. But in hindsight, I now see that it was not only physical, it was emotional, and it was spiritual. I do feel like, this person was doing spiritual things against me. There was many situations that I literally felt spiritually bound. Eventually, I became afraid. Although I was fortunate enough that my children were all grown, I still had one younger one at home. You may have children too. You need to understand that this is not just your trauma. This is your children's trauma as well. So if you don't make choices and decisions about yourself, make choices and decisions for your children. Because this is not just something that you're going through, they're going through it too. My experience was as traumatizing, if not even more, to my daughter, and my daughter is 16 years old. Now we have to get through these things together. We had to uproot and leave somewhere that we've been our whole lives and leave everything behind. We went from a domestic violence shelter to where we are now, currently rebuilding our lives. I go through different emotional feelings behind it. I have children where I was, and I have now children where I am. But I've had to leave everything that was familiar to me. Every store that I frequented, my family. I had to pick up and leave my furniture, my vehicle, everything. And I often sat and asked the question, why? Why? This is so unfair. This is so unfair. Why? Why did I have to lose everything? But what God shared with me is that I didn't lose anything. I gained everything. I gained myself, not my old self that was continuously in domestic violence relationships. I gained my new self, new awareness, new internal self, new mind frame, new state, new place to live, new start. So when I sat and I asked the question, why did I have to lose everything? God reminded me, you haven't lost. You've gained. You just don't know. And I refuse to let my experiences be in vain and be for nothing. Why would I do that? So by me reaching out and telling my story and bringing healing to myself, I'm also reaching out to try to help the many, many, many people that I know out there who are suffering and going through these things just like I did. Just like I did. So I think in me going through what I was going through, I wish that I could have reached out to somebody at the time that I was going through. Not that was telling me what they feel they should have told me because of what is the right thing to say, but because they had been there and they knew. So when I said how I feel, they knew how that felt. They didn't have to imagine it. They knew how I felt. So what I'm saying to you, I know how you feel. I know it over and over and over and over and over again. So fast forward, I'm here. God saw fit to let me be here. And if you're watching this, He saw fit to let you be here. So you can make a decision starting now, today. Join me in bettering you and bettering me. At least take one step. At least one step. It's not easy. Believe me, baby girl, baby boy, young man, young woman, man. It's not easy. I know. But there's life after. And there are those of us who understand. And the scars and the bruises, they heal. They may not ever go away. You may always see and be reminded every day of what it is that you went through, but it doesn't have to be a bad thing. Remembering, those remembering thoughts could trigger you to know how strong you are. You came out of that. They could remind you of how beautiful you are in spite of the scars. They could be a reminder that you made it through. So, again, like I said, I'm Bunny, and welcome to my channel. Please leave a comment below. Just give me a brief description of you or your situation or whatever you want to leave for me. I promise you I will go through the comments. I will respond to you. And I look forward to this journey. I hope you do too. I'll see you on the other side. Until then, amen. God bless. See ya.